Just south of Seneca Lake, amidst the rolling vineyards and woodlands in the upstate New York's Finger Lakes region, sits a shrine of American motorsport. Watkins Glen International is more than just a racetrack. It's the birthplace of post-war road racing in North America, a worthy test of some of the best drivers to ever sit in a race car. Today, the Glen hosts the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and the Crown Jewel 6 Hours of the Glen IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Sports Car Club of America, Professional and Amateur Racing, ARCA Menards, and a major vintage race meet. It has also been home to major concerts and other festivals. Over the years, the Glen has been lengthened once and continually upgraded. A lap around today's Grand Prix course still incorporates much of the original layout. The first turn, known as the 90, a right-hander and a good place to pass. Then it's up towards the S's, a series of 3 fast sweeping apexes leading onto the back straightaway. The cars reach their top speed here before hard braking before the bus stop at the end of the straight. Here the track doubles back through the carousel, followed by another long straightaway into the fast turn 10, a quick left-hander that's harder than it looks. The last corner, turn 11, is another fast right-hander that leads out onto the front straight. Racing first came to the Glen in 1948 in the form of the Watkins Glen Grand Prix, an SCCA-sanctioned event that ran on a more than 6-mile course over the back roads of town. The success of that event eventually led to the construction of a permanent track. The resulting product, a little more than a third in length of the original street course. In 1957, the track hosted its first race, a NASCAR Grand National Series event won by Buck Baker over Fireball Roberts. The following year, Formula Libre showed up, and not long after that, Watkins Glen hit the big time. In 1961, Formula One came to the little town by the lake, bringing with it some of the most legendary names in motorsports. For the next 2 decades, the home of the U.S. Grand Prix was the Glen. The early 80s saw some tough times for Watkins Glen. F1 held its last race there in 1980, and it was all but closed to spectator-free SCCA meets for 2 years. The track would recover soon enough under new ownership. In 1986, NASCAR's Top Series returned to the Glen, and with it, a whole new renaissance for the track began. Tonight, it's round 16 of the Beadles Custom Car Carriers Truck Series, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Watkins Glen International for tonight's race number 16 of the Numb Thumbs Racing League Beadles Custom Car Carriers Truck Series, Season 18, winding down. A little change of ownership here at the end of this season. We'll continue on with the same series, just different management, different administration. Still going to be fun and covered here live on Track Limits. But enough of that. Let's get into the Track Limits race details. I guess we're calling it that from now on. 48 laps the distance here tonight. 68-degree ambient temperature, 55% humidity under overcast skies. It is upstate New York after all. 8-mile-per-hour breeze. Track temperature 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers on a 55% fuel load tonight. Unlimited tire sets over the wall here tonight. Not a whole lot of strategy involved in the tires, though. Lap times will be significantly different from fresh to old rubber. No faster pairs to speak of. We do have 3 green-white checkers allotted here tonight, but that's only going to come up if we happen to get some kind of crazy caution at the end of this thing. We're running local yellow only, so you won't see the pace car out here once the green flag drops. Practice just about wrapped up here at the Speedway. We're going to get right into qualifying. Taking a look at those practice results here. The fastest was Brian McCann, a 1:11.732. Connor Leach quick as well, about 3/10 though, just about 3/10 off that time. Sean Roberts, Carson Rowland, Derek Welch, the current top 5. Looks to be Scott Milner, the first driver on the racetrack. Fun fact, we talked in the open about the original NASCAR race that ran here way back in the day that Buck Baker won over Fireball Roberts. Interesting fun fact is that they ran the race course the opposite direction that they're running right now. It's not what they were running back in those days, but for whatever reason, NASCAR decided, we're going to go that way. Scott Milner on the clock as he rolls down into turn one. Milner looking pretty smooth on this lap so far. Keeps it to the right of that rumble strip out of the carousel. A lot of guys will actually take that way to the left. In many cases, multiple truck widths to the left side of that rumble strip. That's fair play. That's not a track limits, no pun intended, violation. First lap for Milner, a minute 17.7. Brian McCann up through the S's. This is Brian's out lap, so just getting some temperature into those tires. Oh, misses the bus stop here. Now, that might be by design as well. This is the out lap. This is not a timed lap for Brian. Maybe opting not to put additional lateral load on those tires through the bus stop. Jesse Redding, the fast time for now, minute 15.5. So Brian McCann on the clock. Now Nick Biddy goes to the point, minute 13.27. Chris Klein was there for a minute with a minute 14.9. McCann on throttle here down the back straightaway. First timed lap. Got Josh in the chat, says, Watkins Glen with no millet. It's truly someone else's race. I tried to get him up in the booth, but unfortunately he's in a different league race right now. He may jump up here and join us later on. We'll see. Carson Rowland goes to the point, minute 12.79. Not a terrible lap by any means for the number 90 Toyota. First lap in the books for Brian McCann. It's a quick one, minute 12.071. Not quite what he ran in practice. Is he still on the gas here? Good entry into one. Connor Leach heading out onto the racetrack. We'll stick with McCann here for a minute, see if he can knock that 1 minute 12 to a 1 minute 11 and change. Derek Welch has not hit the racetrack yet either. He should be a threat for a top 5 position. He's put the work in here in these road course races as of late. Brian McCann back to the main straightaway. He'll cross start finish. Lap 2 in the books. Does he improve? He does. 1:11.794, right about where he ran in practice. We'll see if Connor Leach has got anything for the driver of the number 7. Leach slipping and sliding out of 11, but keeps it out of the fence. Lap 1 in the books for the 71. Where does he land? It's P2, 1:12.45. Leach very smooth up through the S's. Hard braking into the bus stop. Gets all of that curb. Real good bus stop for Connor Leach. In turn 11, corner exit, slipping and sliding the rears just a touch. Sean Roberts goes P2. 1:12.3. Does Leach take the pole? He does. 1:11.696 for Connor Leach. Knocks Brian McCann to the outside. And Derek Welch now on the speedway. Welch into the carousel. Connor Leach, 1:11.696, almost a full tenth faster than Brian McCann. CKR Sim Racing says that Sisk guy ain't here either. It's unfortunate. Caleb would be a front runner here tonight too. It would be fun to watch Leach and McCann go at it here tonight. Derek Welch, no Chris Goins. Goins out with a power failure tonight, or internet issue actually. Goins certainly loves these road courses. Minute 13:039 for Welch. Top 5 starting position now. Let's see if he can pick it up. He'll need a couple of tenths here to get up one more position. Almost 3/4 of a second to get into row 2. Nice clean looking lap again here for Derek Welch. He's definitely put in the work over the last year trying to improve his road racing skills. He's done a good job with it. Little bobble off 11, but at the line, where does he land? 1:12.950. Picked up the pace, but not enough to jump up the starting positions. Few drivers have not taken the time. Tom Barish, Justin Lawson, Paul Durkee, Mark Truxell, Ben McKinnon. Qualifying in the books. That's it. With that said, let's take a look at it. Our starting grid for race 16 from the Glen on the pole position with a lap time of 1:11.696 seconds. It's the 71 out of Canada. Connor Leach outside pole, missed it by almost a tenth of a second. Brian McCann will start outside. Row number 2, it's Sean Roberts in the 333. He's a known road racer. Carson Rowland didn't know he was quick on these road courses, but there he is in that 4th spot. Row 3, Derek Welch. We've talked about his road racing experience over the last year or so. He'll start in the 5th position with Nick Biddy starting to his outside. Dylan Bryant will start from the 7th spot. Chris Klein rolls from P8. Track Bar Motorsports driver Jesse Redding will start 9th. Skylar Harrod from Sisk Speed Shop will roll 10th. Ryan Pisoko in the 2 from MBR Motorsports will start 11th. Scott Milner rolling off 12th. 13th starter, it's the 24 of Rick LePage with Double O Joe starting in 14th to the left elbow. Mark Truxell in the number 5 will start 15th. Justin Lawson 16th. 17th starter will be Paul Durkee. Tom Barish 18th. And last but not least, the number 12 of Ben McKinnon, shotgun on the field in the 19th position. It's your starting grid here from Watkins Glen International as we get ready to go road racing for the first time this season. Still waiting for Tom Barish to get gridded up here so the pace car can head on out. There he is. Sun's starting to peek out a bit here at the Glen. Supposed to be overcast all day long. Take a look at the race details again tonight. 48 laps the distance, about 3 laps above a full distance Cup Series event here that will be attending this coming August. 68-degree ambient temperature, 55% humidity, still overcast skies, a little breezy here up on the hill. 12-mile-per-hour breeze, track temperature at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers with a 55% fuel load, unlimited sets of tires over the wall. They do have 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish, but again, unless somebody accidentally hits that caution light button, we won't see that either. Local yellows only here tonight. We are not going to see any full course cautions. Once that pace car heads to pit lane, that's it. We won't see it again. Fast repairs? None. 0. Zip. Zillich. Speaking of Zillich, last year's winner here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series event. Field working through turn 10. So it's 10 the left-hander, 11 the right-hander, and that puts you back to the main straightaway. Catch the green flag here in just a moment.
Green.
Green flag is in the air. We're racing from the Glen. Leach drives it down into turn 1, a little deeper than Brian McCann. McCann now having to deal with Sean Roberts to the inside. As the field snakes through, they get through turn 1 without a problem. Battle for second, still side by side up through the S's. Tough to get that done, gotta be careful. McCann takes the second spot, puts a little distance on Sean Roberts. Very bright sunshine here, blanketing the racetrack. That should raise the track temperature. We'll see what that does to everybody's handling. Definitely cloudy skies and overcast throughout the course of practice and qualifying. Track temp up 3 degrees already. Field out of turn 11. Connor Leach will lead lap number 1 over Brian McCann, Sean Roberts, Carson Rowland, and DW Derek Welch. Track temp still coming up, another degree upwards. First lap for Leach, though, was again coming to green, and then the subsequent lap, minute 17.3, about a 3/4 second, little shy of 3/4 second faster than second place McCann. Again, McCann had to deal with Sean Roberts up through the S's. Roberts not able to hang tough there with the 7 as Brian McCann has put about 5-6 truck lengths between himself and the 333. It's Connor Leach out of turn 10, now into turn 11. We're going to go on board here with Connor and watch a lap with the driver of that number 71. Last lap, Brian McCann about half a tenth quicker than Leach. Little lift entry into turn 2. Hard on throttle to go up the hill, about half to 3/4. Still babying it up through, hammer down. Wide open now, out of 4, all the way down the back straightaway. Late break here into the bus stop, 600, 500, a little early actually. Sets him up here, gets much curb as you can there on the entry to the bus stop. Make sure you bang all 4 curbs. Carry a little bit of speed. Keep it as low to the racetrack as you can here. That's where the grip is. And then hammer down right through the middle of the apex. Some guys will take this left even further than Connor Leach did. Some guys will keep it to the right side of that curb. But hammer down again, maybe third gear all the way. Brake just past the bridge. Now turn in left. Apex the corner, again on the throttle a bit. Just catch a little curb on exit. No shifting. Oh, he'll actually grab a gear here into 11. He wants that drive out of 11 down the straightaway. So there he does, grabs the gear, and that's a lap around Watkins Glen. Top 5 positions still unchanged. Leach the leader. McCann, Roberts, Rowland, Welch. Really the top 8 spots have not changed. Tom Barish in the pits already. Took 3 laps around here. Now he's in the pits putting some tires on. Back out front. Deficit back to Brian McCann is shrinking little by little. Last lap, Leach was just a touch faster, about 0.08 faster. You know, Carson Rowland in trouble. Or was he? Looks like Rowland lost a spot here. Slipped from 4th to 5th. Let's see if we can catch what happened with the number 90. Oh, a little wiggle on entry. Too much rear brake. This goes a little wide. That section of the racetrack is now paved, as you can see, but back in the day, depending on how far back you want to go, there was a Armco barrier just past that, what is now curbing. You want to go a little more recent, it was all grass. More recent still was pea gravel, but they eventually pulled the gravel out, at least some of it. Give drivers an opportunity to save the race car or truck in this case, rather than bring out a full course caution. Back out front, Leach still your leader, 5 laps in. You see the different lines there. Leach keeps it right on the curving there, the exit of the carousel, where McCann goes real wide. Allows you to keep the RPMs up there, but it also, you're not putting as much wheel into it, so you're not going to scrub as much speed, which in turn you're likely going to save the left front tire a little bit on the exit of the carousel by going wide. Again, they have unlimited tire sets, so when they're going to come down to pit for fuel, they're going to take tires anyway, unless someone's trying to gain some track position. Yeah, Leach took second gear again here into turn 11. Here's Justin Lawson in the S's here. Or is that Ben McKinnon? That's Ben McKinnon. Kind of tapered Hunter Leach entrance up into the S's. I don't know if it did anything to Brian McCann, but he's right there now, just 3/10 off the tailgate of the number 71 Toyota as they head down into the bus stop. This time, cross start finish, Connor Leach a minute 13:50. Brian McCann about a quarter second quicker. That's the overall lap time, but Leach really seems to stretch it out up here through the S's. Well, as soon as I say that, McCann starts to reel him back in as they head up the hill, but on the exit now, Leach taking a little bit faster into the bus stop. So Leach with a better exit out of the S's down the back straightaway. A little more mile an hour than the 7, but not by a whole lot. Real good through the bus stop, though. McCann losing about a 10th and a half there. Sean Roberts still back in the third spot. Derek Welch up a position in P4. Carson Rowland, after his little slip in turn 10, still in the 5th spot. Nick Biddy where he started in 6th. Dylan Bryant where he started in 7th. Chris Klein, same story, P8. Skylar Harrods up a spot to 9th. Jesse Redding down to 10th. Leach takes it back this time, minute 13:08, about 2/10 quicker than Brian McCann. Let's go on board here with Brian, see what he sees. McCann slowly but surely now was gaining some ground early, but now losing about a half a tenth a lap here to Connor Leach. Last lap was pretty even between the two of them. Leach and McCann within 0.02 of a second as far as the lap time was concerned. But now McCann gaining it back again up through the S's. Lap traffic up ahead. That's the 20 of Justin Lawson. Going to go down a lap. Gives the leaders plenty of room in through the carousel. Now that the tires are starting to get older here, it seems that McCann has been able to reel in Connor Leach. Now, I don't know if that's going to be attributed to how they're getting out of the carousel. It is just one corner that I've noticed the difference in the line that these two are running. And McCann running real wide to the left of that curb, whereas Connor Leach kind of keeps it, either straddles that curb or stays to the right of it. Got to put more wheel into it to do that lap after lap. That may be wearing that left front tire out a little premature compared to McCann. We'll see if that's going to be the case here, if Brian can really reel him in. Meanwhile, we'll check on some other drivers throughout the field here. Derek Welch back in P4. Carson Rowland still kind of hanging with the one. Back in P5. And Brian McCann in pit lane. Brian McCann trying to work the undercut here. He's going to come to the pits, bolt on some fresh tires. Even if he just gets one lap out there, as close as he was to Connor Leach, that might be enough to leapfrog him just based on the new tires alone. Again, that last lap at speed for McCann in the 113, low 113 mark. Fastest lap of the day for McCann, a minute 12:14. So if he can gain a second here just with the fresh tires, that would be huge to get him out in front. Looks like left sides only. So McCann going up through the S's as Connor Leach now. Down the short chute into turn 10. We'll see if Connor heads to pit lane. Connor stays on the gas. Just past quarter distance here at Watkins Glen. Current running order: Connor Leach, Sean Roberts, Derek Welch, Carson Rowland, and Nick Biddy. That's the top five. Skylar Harrod, Brian McCann, who just made his pit stop for fuel and left sides. Jesse Redding is going to come down to hit pit lane. Left side tire change for the 21 of Jesse Redding. We'll see if he puts 4 on or just the 2. Jesse's going to go with 4. Drops the jack down and away. So Connor Leach still out in front, stays out on the racetrack, going to stretch this, I think, right to the end of the fuel window. Meanwhile, Derek Welch is going to come in and pit. So it seems like Brian McCann's trying to work some tire strategy while Connor Leach is just going to push it on fuel strategy and see how this plans or pays out. Pans out? Pans out. That's what we're talking about. I'll be all right. So Welch in the box. Does he go 2 or 4? Or none? Appears to be fuel only for Derek Welch. Or did he get dinged for speeding? He is still in there. Long pit stop for Derek Welch. He might be in trouble here. Might have been too fast on entry. Tough break for the 1. Had a good run going. Leach into turn 10 here. Likely going to put a lap on the 1 of Welch here momentarily. And there's Connor Leach. He'll come down and pit. Welch still in his pit box now. 46.83 second stop for the 1. So a 40-second penalty with 6 seconds of fuel. Four tires and fuel for Connor Leach. On this strategy, should be a 2-stop race. But it's going to be close. I mean, it's going to be real close, and Leach loose up through the S's, hangs on to it. Wow, that was a scary moment. Could have been disaster for Connor Leach there. Manages to hang on. Now Sean Roberts in. Roberts, Nick Biddy, Dylan Bryan, all going to hit pit lane here. Now, they've managed to stretch this long enough, they can definitely make it on one more stop. So just because these guys aren't setting the world on fire with lap time, they are still in this race. Look at Brian McCann. He may have to find another way to make this work because he's going to have to make one final stop. Might have to make a third pit stop for a splash and go. Again, we're not going to get any cautions here. So that cycle has put Brian McCann in the race lead here. Connor Leach back to second. Scott Milner seemed like he was trying to follow McCann through the bus stop there, but got in a little too hot. Jesse Redding back in the 9th spot. Now Derek Welch shown in the 10th position here after that pit stop. 46 seconds in the pit. Now Welch still on the lead lap. Redding applying some pressure here to Paul Durkee in the 13. Oh, Durkee gets the wall out of 11. Redding will move into the 8th spot after that mistake from the 12, or 13 that is. Derek Welch was closing in. These are positions. Welch there just waiting in the wings, a few truck lengths back from that duo as they work up through the S's. Welch gets clear of Durkee, moves Welch back into the 9th spot. So Skylar Herod closing in on the 13 as well, but now I think Derek Welch has got his sights set on Jesse Redding. Now, the difference here is Welch did not take tires. It does not appear, at least. The truck never went up on the jack. That could just be a glitch. You never know. Have seen that once or twice where it doesn't show the truck go on the jacks and change the tires, but sometimes it does happen. "20 laps in here from the Glen, Brian McCann still leads. And last lap for McCann, a minute 13:34. He is running faster lap times by about half a second than Connor Leach. And remember, Leach took 4 tires. Brian only took 2. Nevertheless, Brian's still going to need to make 2 more. Caution. Oh, there it is. I forgot we got a break coming up. Lap 20, competition caution is going to get everybody bunched back up. Numb Thumbs Racing League does typically throw a competition caution here on these road courses, given that there is no full course caution to speak of. Kind of a halfway break that you sometimes see in the ARCA series. Caution on the speedway for the first time today. With that, we're going to take a real quick break. We'll be back after this.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody
Back at the Glen here, caution on the speedway, competition caution here, planned yellow flag. See who takes the opportunity to come down and pit. I assume McCann's going to do so as he only took left sides. So other drivers stay out, some come down. Connor Leach is going to come down to the pit lane, so is Sean Roberts. Carson Rowland, Nick Biddy, Dylan Bryant. Looks like all the lead lap trucks are going to come down here and take service. Quick stop for Leach. Right sides only and fuel. Brian McCann went with 4 this time. I want to make a note there, a little shadow box from Connor Leach. I forget exactly the specifics on that. I know the Num Thumbs Racing League does police that pretty severely. Shadow boxing, if you're unfamiliar, especially during the pit stops, if you just drive through a truck's pit box when there's a truck there, obviously it's a simulation, but when the other truck is in its pit stall, you can drive right through it and not cause any damage to either truck. It's supposed to be a simulation, so we want to try and get these drivers to do just as they do in real life. And you can't drive through the guy, unless you're Carson Hocevar, then you can drive through anybody, but that's a different conversation entirely. So I'm not sure if they're going to call that on the 71. Hopefully not. I'd rather see these guys battle it out. About to get the one to go here. We're going to take another quick break, though. We'll be back with the restart after this. Back at the Glen, pace truck lights are out, so next time by, we'll get the green flag. Be back racing here on the road course at Watkins Glen. Pace truck hits pit lane. McCann opted for the outside lane on the restart. Green flag in the air. Actually, no, McCann to the outside because Leach beat him out of pit lane. So green in the air, Leach the leader. He'll cross over in front of the 7, get the better entry down into turn number 1. Nick Pitty running a little wide there in the 3rd spot. And they're 3 wide behind him. Can't do that into turn 2. Skylar Herod backs out of it to get at least side-by-side up through the S's. Connor Leach gets away again here. A couple of truck lengths separates the 71 and the 7. To come back around here into turn 11 from the restart. This will put us just past halfway. Leach across the stripe. Oh, Sean Roberts around. Exited turn 1 here, facing the wrong direction in the chute between 1 and 2. Got to be careful backing up the racetrack. Still got traffic coming. Oh, Ryan Pisoko almost T-bones the 333. You got to watch that relative, Sean. Roberts back underway. Let's see if we can find out really what happened here. Seemed like there may have been some contact, or was there? Roberts down into 1 on throttle. Oh, just gets on the power too soon. Smacks the tire pack to the inside. We've seen it in real life so many times. Many a car or a truck is parked helplessly there at the exit of pit lane. Got real lucky not to back up into the 2. Now a battle for the lead. Brian McCann all over Connor Leach as they come back to the stripe. Leach hanging on to it for now, but less than a truck length back. Brian McCann in attack mode here, pushing everything he's got. Again, goes real wide out of the carousel. Give you an idea of how difficult it is to drive that close to another truck as far as your field of view is concerned. McCann's back just a bit right now, about a quarter second. See how close he gets to the back of the 71, down into 1, late on the brakes. Hits that apex just about perfect. Catches the grass a little bit there on 4. Locks him up a bit on the entrance to turn 10. Didn't expect Leach to slow up as much, but that's what you see a lot of the time, though. You get another truck ahead of you. Yeah, you got a rabbit to chase, but at the same token, you kind of lose your sight lines to your brake markers getting into each corner. They're different each time. Down here into turn number 1, you'll see on the left a little caution light. There it is. That's about the brake zone. Some guys drive it a little bit deeper in qualifying. Again, hit this apex, come back up. There's not really a brake marker here getting into the S's. Little lift. Not completely off throttle. See, Brian drives it kind of like I do. Grab third just before the left turn and then hammer down out of 4. Little opposite in there, trying to get some correction. Now, from what we just watched there, it looked like they're braking into the bus stop about the 500-foot mark. There's a board there to the left on the Armco that indicates that. But right here, it's difficult. You kind of watch the Armco to jut back inward. Right there, there's a little line there. That's the alternate start-finish line for qualifying, at least the Cup Series, and everybody uses that in real life. They put the line there in iRacing, but nobody uses it. And then the brake marker for 11 is just past the tire pack as you get ready to turn in. McCann is right there. Connor Leach been so strong through the bus stop all race long. Really put some distance back on McCann. It was just a few feet. Now it's about almost 4/10 of a second. Last lap, by the way, Leach ran a minute 12:74. What did Brian McCann run? A minute 12:74. You want to talk about evenly matched. Still watching that battle for the lead, but we got to check on these guys in the back of the pack, too. Skylar Harrod in the 8th spot, just ahead of Jesse Redding, has recently gotten clear of the 21. Skylar started 10th. Chris Klein working his way up as well. He's in the 7th spot, up 1 position. Not a lot of movement going on back here. There's a spot or two forward and back. Sean Roberts, really the only big mover. Unfortunately for him, it was backwards. Roberts back about 10 spots. Still in the 13th position. He's got a fast truck, but he's not going to have the help of a caution to get him caught back up. Looking through the field here, just appears everyone's, for the most part, just kind of racing the racetrack right now. Not a lot of battling going on. Brian Pisoko back in the 15th spot. Pisoko, the last truck on the lead lap. Scott Miller just a moment ago having an issue. This was in turn 10. Some nose damage on the 31. He's had more than just one issue. This might have been after the main one. Let's see what happened. This is lap 25. About 5 laps to go. Down into turn 1. Double O Joe getting to the inside. Drives it deep down in there. And yeah, Milner getting back on the gas. Did the same thing that Roberts did. Almost the same spot. Closest battle on the racetrack right now, outside of the race lead, it's Skylar Harrod and Jesse Redding. Back up front with the leaders. That battle's still hot and heavy. Again, the lap times for the top two. Leach ran a minute 12:98. McCann ran a minute 12:97. Unbelievable the lap times these guys are running. Chris Klein just ran his best lap of the race, a minute 13:97. Ben McKinnon did the same, minute 16:06. And Gabby, thanks for the reminder on that, by the way. I got kind of wrapped up in this lead battle. These guys have been battling since the drop of the green flag. It's so easy just to stick to these guys and not really worry about the rest of the field sometimes. So thanks for the heads up on that. Good to check in on the rest of the field, too. They're here. They're participating. They're racing as well, even though it may not necessarily be their forte. Road racing, that is. And Jesse Redding is in trouble. Redding spins out of turn 1. Might have made some contact with the tire pack there. If not, he was awful close. Let's take a look what just happened here to the 21. He's battling with the 3 of Herod. Was he trying to drive it? Oh, wheel hop. Shook a little bit on entry. That is classic wheel hop. Overcorrected it. He's going to back it in. Just kisses the tires. A little bit of rear end damage. Shouldn't hurt him too much. See if we can hear it. Sometimes you can hear the wheel hop if you're inside the cockpit. Let's listen again. Yeah, if you know what you're listening for, you can hear it. So Redding will rejoin here in the 10th spot. Didn't lose a lot of spots here, just 1 position to Paul Durkee, but he's going to have to make it up. But yeah, that wheel hop, a lot of times what happens is, if you're unfamiliar with what that actually is, it's not just on road courses, though it is pretty prevalent on them, especially here at the Glen down into turn 1. The reason being is it's downhill, hard braking, and 90-degree right-hander. So you really got to get the truck load up because you got a pretty good straightaway heading down into it. But if you get on the brakes a little too hard while you're downshifting, if you don't necessarily rev match perfectly, the RPMs are a little bit too high, well, literally what happens is the backside of the truck starts to bounce up and down on the racetrack, and there's 1 of 2 ways to fix it. Get on the gas, which you're trying to slow down for the corner, so that's not going to work. Or get off the brake, which you're getting into the corner, so that's not going to work either. Some guys are really good at it, and specifically SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, basically coming from the V8 supercars, he uses the clutch pedal different than just about anyone else out in the field, and he'll kind of slip the clutch a little bit without changing his braking. That'll take a little bit of that engine brake away, so you can still stay on the brake pedal without having the wheel hop. But what happens is that thing starts jumping up and down, and it's very easy to spin out. That's exactly what we just saw happen with Jesse Redding. Connor Leach seems to be okay here out in front, starting to put distance back on Brian McCann as Jesse Redding's going to come to pit lane here. May or may not be a planned stop, but they're going to need to make another one anyway, so you might as well come down. This should get Jesse to the end on a full load of fuel. Yeah, this should be his last stop. I don't know if he'll fix the damage here. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel for the 21 as Ryan Pasoko comes down into the pits as well. No shadow box for the 2. Did a good job avoiding that, even though Milner's parked there. And I don't know if Jesse got a penalty here or if he's getting some damage repaired, but nevertheless, Brian McCann is going to come down and pit as well. Last stop for the second place machine of McCann, trying the undercut again, knowing that this one's going to go green to the end. So this could be the race right here. We'll see if Leach decides he'll come down after or if he stays out again. The last time he stayed out because it wasn't going to hurt him. They were going to get another opportunity to pit under yellow. That's not going to be the case this time here with about 12 laps to go. Cloud cover back here at the speedway. That's going to lower the track temp again. In fact, let's take another look at it as we watch Mark Truxell. In fact, it has come down quite a bit. Remember, it was 94 degrees in the first quarter of this race. Now we're down to 88. That's cooler than it was in qualifying. Connor Leach doesn't waste a lot of time here. He'll come down and pit, but now Brian McCann's going to have to be out there laying down a flyer Carson Rowland from second. He'll come into pit. Leach heads back out. And where's Brian McCann? He's right there. The undercut may have worked. Does he get clear? They're going to race it up through the S's. McCann gets around. He's got hotter tires after being out there for one lap more, so now he's going to have to hold off the 71 the rest of the way. Lap truck of Jesse Redding there. Again, he's on fresh tires, and he did get the damage repaired on his machine. Drives it way deep into the bus stop. Think he's going to keep it up high? Yes, he'll let the leaders go through. Or will he? No, he does. So back to the stripe now, 11 laps to go. McCann out in front. Now let's see what kind of lap times McCann can throw down with clean air out in front. That was making a difference for the 7 as well. I know we're on a road course. We don't really think about dirty air like we see a lot on some of the mile and a halves. But this is kind of the super speedway of road racing. They're running very high speed here, well over 150, 160, almost 170 here on the back straightaway. That affects your braking. Connor Leach, though, right there, not even a full truck off the back bumper. This may be a battle all the way to the end. Back to start finish. McCann has held this lead since he got around Leach after the pit stop. Minute 12:90 for McCann. A very quick lap out of Leach. A minute 12:65 was faster than the leader, but again, pulling some draft on the backstretch. Still some lap traffic in here. Double O Joe coming into the frame. Going to catch him in a bad spot here in the S's. Joe gives them room as well. Good job by the 00 to stay out of this battle. Track temp still coming down, 85 degrees. Not likely to be a factor now. I still think Leach has got something for Brian McCann here. We got Shane Haas in the chat, says, what's up, man? Hopefully your evening is going well. So far, so good. We're calling a race at the Glen. Couldn't be happier. I'll be there Thursday myself for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car 6 hours of the Glen. But we're watching truck racing here on the short course right now. I gotta wonder if Brian's trying to save a little bit here. Again, he does have one lap older tires, which is what got him out in front, but now it's going to flip-flop the other way, and Connor drives it in deep, almost makes contact with the back of the 7. This is where Connor's been so strong all afternoon long, the bus stop. Better exit for Brian this time, though. Again, a lot of that's vision. Further back through the field here, Dylan Bryant running in P5. Dylan with All-Star Racing. Carson Rowland has regained his 4th position where he started. Derek Welch, I think, effectively out of this race. Still sits in pit lane. Scott Milner the same. Chris Klein solidly in the top 6. Skylar Herod now in 7th. Sean Roberts continues to fight his way forward. Back out front, though, Brian McCann starting to put some distance between himself and the 71. Less than 8 laps to go here from the Glen. McCann really hasn't seen the race lead much at all today until the last couple of laps ago. Got to make mention here, Nick Biddy up into the 3rd position. Nick running 3 spots ahead of where he started tonight, so Nick certainly putting the work in as well. The 12 of McKinnon off the racetrack. He'll slide up, does not hit anything, continues on. Back out front, Brian McCann now with a full 2nd advantage over Connor Leach. This is the largest margin we've seen all race long for any leader at this point. It did seem like the tires on Brian McCann's truck seemed to be better for him later on in the run. Starting to show that again here as he's running just a tick faster than Connor Leach. Last lap was a minute 12:42 for McCann, a minute 13:1 for Connor Leach. Might have been a mistake. We'll see if that lap time comes down a bit here as they get ready to cross start finish yet again. Nick Biddy hanging on to 3rd here. Carson always loose off of 1, and he's going to hit the Armco hard. Carson Rowland was working on catching up with the 32 of Biddy. I don't know if Biddy got in his mirror, missed the braking point into turn 1, but he smacks the Armco with considerable force. Tough break here late in this race. You saw it happen live. Lost the rear end of the car, overcorrected, and just drove right into that Armco. Biddy trying to get it back to pit lane here. Keeping it off the racing line, letting everybody else get on through. Tough break for Nick Biddy. Again, no fast repairs, so I don't know if he's probably going to come to pit lane. I can't imagine he's not. Shedding the left front fender. That'll be offline. So Biddy comes to the pits here. Want to make note here, the last lap for Connor Leach was faster than Brian McCann by about 1/10 and a half, so Connor still got something there, and he's starting to chew back into that race lead. down to 8 trucks on the lead lap. Paul Durkee in P8, the number 13, last truck on the lead lap. Deficit now 7/10 of a second. Last lap, Leach was faster. Again, I want to make another note. We've talked about it already a couple of times, but Brian McCann, 1 lap older tires. Now, that may not seem like much, but here at the Glen, it's going to play a factor here, especially when you've got 2 drivers that are so evenly matched. Last lap again, Leach was still faster by a 0.5. Running out of time, though. 3 laps to go here from the Glen. Can Brian McCann hang on to this? That's the gap, about 4 truck lengths from the 7 to the 71. That's 0.6 of a second. That's what it looks like. Now, Leach has changed up his line a bit. He runs a bit wide out of the carousel as well this time, but McCann had a really good exit out of there. Now, slow in, fast out for McCann into turn 10, and he really gains it on exit. Oh, and Jesse Redding in trouble again. This was a couple of laps to go. Oh, locks him up, getting into the bus stop. Could have been another wheel hop situation. That's kind of what it looks like. And Ben McKinnon, did we already see this? No, this is into the carousel. Strange place to have a problem for the 12, right in the middle of the carousel corner. Doesn't hit anything. Grabs gear and heads back on out. So this would be a battle for position at this point. Double O Joe, Jesse Redding, both a lap down, but still, this is a position on the racetrack. White flag in the air, final lap from Watkins Glen. Brian McCann's got to hang on just for one more, 2.45 miles left. He's got 0.9 of a second back to Connor Leach. I think Connor is just going to cut his losses here, take the second place. Connor's got 3 wins on the season, so certainly still in the running. Brian McCann with 6 wins so far, about to make it 7. The namesake of the door on his truck. Brian McCann out of turn 11, final time. Slipping and sliding is Connor Leach, but at the stripe, it's Lucky 7 taking the win here at the Glen. McCann picking up the win. Connor Leach P2 and Carson Rowland driving it from fourth. He'll finish third. McCann finding some pavement in the carousel to light him up. And he drives it out of the racetrack. That'll do it for Brian McCann. We're going to step aside, get our final break out of the way. We'll have our top three finishers in the booth after this. Stay with us.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Watkins Glen International, race 16 in the books. Brian McCann picking up lucky number 7, 7th win on the season for the driver of that red number 7. We'll pull Brian into the broadcast booth and get a word with him on how he got this one here in the books. Brian, it's Steve with Track Limits. You got me?
I do.
Brian, congrats, man. Another win here, 7th on the season, and you got it done here at the road course. It seemed to be a bit of back and forth with you and Connor Leach. He had the raw pace out of the gate. You guys were very evenly matched throughout this thing. It seemed pit strategy was really going to be the call here, and it really came down to that. Was that the plan from the very get-go, kind of get off cycle with him, or is that kind of something you came up with in the middle of the race?
Yeah, we were so evenly matched. I don't think there was any opportunity I was really going to be able to pass him on a track. So, yeah, we were looking at fuel and tire, and we noticed he had a little different strategy. Wasn't sure which way he was going to go, and I knew I just at the stage wanted 4 fresh ones. That way, I had options, and took left sides and fuel, and 1 lap before he did, and just barely squeaked by him. So I think that pass in the pits was what did it.
It was fun to watch. I felt like I was watching a Formula One race when you guys came back out. Carson made his pit stop a lap after you did, and you were right there. You got through him just the exit of turn 1, almost side by side up through the S's. Certainly made this one fun to watch.
Yeah, the cold tires going up through the S's, that was a little tricky. And off the start, he started the stage. After the stage, he had some heat in his tires, so I was wanting to be aggressive, but I knew I couldn't. I didn't want to wreck the truck, so I let it happen and stayed behind him, and then we just focused on pit after that.
As this race wound down, started to put some distance on the 71 and started to drive away. This place certainly suits your driving style. It's a fast racetrack. You really got to get after it. You're an aggressive driver when it comes to attacking the track. Is that really what helped you get this done here and hold him off in the closing stages?
Yeah, just consistency too, and not really burning your tires up, because that did come into play after about 8, 9, 10 laps or whatever. Even though we didn't have a lot of fuel in the truck, burning those, I know the left front really started to give out. So keeping that in check, especially in the draft. I guess in the draft it was a little worse, but I really like that clean air. It drove so much different. So I think maybe him getting in the dirty air also helped me. Since I had more experience in the dirty air, and then I guess it flip-flops, right?
Certainly a fun one to watch. Next week, Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. It's the oval that races kind of like a road course. Can you take anything from Watkins Glen and apply it at Pocono next week?
I hope so. I like Pocono, but I'm not the greatest at it. All 3 turns are different, so yeah, you do have to kind of take it easy and learn each turn. And it is. I love the track though. Love the track, love the racing there. So I'm excited for that one.
Looking forward to it, Brian. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
My family, you for doing a broadcast, league admins, race control, drivers for 19 drivers at Watkins Glen. That's amazing. Repeat 1975, my spotter, Derek Wyatt in my chat. Thank you, and everybody watching tonight.
All right, Brian, thanks for talking to us, man. Congratulations. Good luck next week.
Thanks.
It's Brian McCann, your race winner here at the Glen. Next, we're going to talk to the 71 of Connor Leach. Couldn't get that 5th win here tonight, but yet again, we'll settle for another 2nd place finish. Connor, it's Steve with Track Limits. You got me?
I got you, Steve.
Connor, congratulations, man. Put the truck on pole position with a lightning fast lap in qualifying. Led the majority of this thing. Probably had the most laps led, but not the most important ones. The last 8, 9, 10, whatever they were. Walk us through that final pit stop, that cycle. Was it a plan from the get-go to run this race the way that you did? And was there anything else, short of wrecking Brian McCann, that you could have done differently up through the S's when you got out of pit lane?
Yeah, that was kind of the plan going into it. We hummed and hawed about a couple different ideas, and this seemed to be the best one to hold on a track position, not get caught up in anything. But there's one thing I could have done and had the old fueler put 1 can in. That's all I needed. I had plenty of fuel to go to the end with 1 can, and he came back and clicked a 2nd can in for a second, and that's all it took. I would have been probably ahead of Redding and McCann coming out of the pits, and we just had to hold on and make no mistakes from there. But guess it wasn't meant to be. Fuel guy said, no, you're going to need more, and I had 2.5 laps to spare at the end, so a little frustrated with that. I had been using the auto fuel, just had it set for a lap and a half. It was asking, through that whole run, it said it was just going to put 1 can in, and I guess I ran it hard at the the last lap before pitting or something, and it decided to put a little bit extra in for me. But that's a little frustrating because there's at least 2 seconds on the stop, and I think I came out right beside McCann, and he kind of chopped my nose off in there. And if I had bounced the curb a little harder than I did, I probably would have gotten into him. But maybe we'll try a little harder next time.
Talking about the fuel strategy bit, Brian McCann did mention how things were different in the draft. Certainly dirty air makes a difference, but draft-wise, is it possible that riding in behind Brian there, those closing laps, did it give you better fuel economy? Was it noticeable or was it negligible?
Honestly, I think it was probably worse fuel economy if I had to guess, just because I was never getting up into the rev limiter. When I was out in clean air, but when I was behind him for a few laps, it was down that straightaway going towards the bus stop. It was bouncing off the rev limiter for a while, and I can't imagine that being any better on fuel. Plus, you're just driving a little harder, a little deeper, trying to stick with them. Plus, you get the dirty air, so you're probably using more fuel being behind someone than you are out front, just running a clean, steady pace on yourself. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, with that, we look forward now to Pocono Raceway next week. And as I said to Brian McCann, it's an oval, but it kind of races somewhat like a road course. Is there anything that you can apply there that you worked on tonight?
Yeah, just be a little bit quicker than him, I guess. I guess we're coming into the final round of the playoffs, and it's going to be weird with Pocono and then Atlanta. New Atlanta at that. And gosh, that's going to be... I got a good team behind me, so hopefully we can... make something of that, but it's just going to be staying out of trouble for those 2 races. But yeah, Pocono should be a fun one. I do like those kind of flatter tracks, and I think it'll be fun. Hopefully we can get some clean air on the nose of this thing and have some luck going our way, and maybe get a win there and be looking good going into the last race.
Well, if nothing else, you guys certainly put on a great show here tonight on the road course. It's something that we're not always treated to, just because of the driving styles and ability levels vary greatly throughout every one of these leagues that we cover. So that was fun to watch. Certainly congratulations, Connor. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
So I want to shout out just all the guys that are in this league, all these NTRL guys. It's, I know it's Derek might be giving the league up to a couple other guys, but him and all the guys that have been racing with, especially today, it was super clean out there. Everyone was minding their P's and Q's, and yeah, just the whole time racing with these guys. Yeah, there's some crashes here and there, and people get mad at each other, but I think for the most part it's a really, really good league, and hopefully it keeps going and we can keep racing with a lot of these guys. But yeah, and then you for broadcasting all these races, and yeah, again, Derek for putting all this show on for the last 5 years. I think he said he's been doing it. It's been awesome. I think I've been doing it for at least 2, maybe 2 and a bit. And yeah, and then all the teammates on the Speed Shop team. Caleb wasn't here, but he was in the hotel with some pretty crappy Wi-Fi, trying to help out wherever he could, and it was huge. And yeah, Nick got into a little trouble, and Skyler had a good run, and Carson had a really great run. He got up into the 3rd spot there. I guess Roberts had a mistake. But yeah, again, just huge shout out to all the guys in NTRL. It's been super fun.
All right, Connor. Well, congrats again, man. Thanks for chatting. Good luck next week at Pocono.
All right, thanks.
It's Connor Leach, your runner-up here at the Glen. Next, speaking to Carson, there he is, the number 90, Carson rolling. We'll pull Carson into the booth. I don't think we've talked to him this season, but either way, we'll talk to him now. Carson rolling. Steve with Track Limits. Do you got a copy?
Yep, got you, Steve.
Carson, congratulations, man. 4th place starting position, solid run in qualifying, 3rd place finish. Didn't really know you had any kind of ability here on the road course, but it seems to suit your driving style. What kind of experience really do you have here at the Glen?
Yeah, so I would say rather than oval, like I'm primarily a road racer, so oval has always been kind of like a second thing for me. So I knew coming in today that I was going to have pace, and I knew that, the road courses were going to be my strong suit, throughout the season. Unfortunately, I did miss the first road course race, which was at Coda earlier in the season, but definitely, had this one circled on my list, especially being, the 1 week right before the Final 5 playoff cutoff. I was right there on the bubble. I think in P6, just a couple points out, and so this being a road course, I think it just fit my style, just like with my preparation that went into it for this week just to make sure I had the best performance to see if I could, move myself to that next round.
Well, it was a great performance. Again, a top 3 finish here at the Glen. That's no small feat by any means. There's a lot of guys out there that would be very happy with a top 3. But you're the one that picked it up, held off Dylan Bryant, Chris Klein there at the end, and that's where you end up landing. So a job well done as you look forward now. Pocono Raceway with your road racing background. We kind of talked about this a bit with Brian McCann and Connor Leach. That place, again, it's an oval or a triangle if you want to call it that, but it kind of races like a road course. You've got 3 very distinct corners. How do you prepare, and is it similar to setting up for a road course and getting ready to run one of those?
So with Pocono, it's like you're saying, it's interesting just because you don't get into that normal rhythm that you do with an oval, where 1 and 2 you follow the same line, 3 and 4 might follow something different. With Pocono, it's 1, 2, 3. Everything you do completely different, especially depending on the temperatures, how the tires are reacting, dirty air. You get some draft on the long straights. As far as preparation, I think I'm just going to try to work with the team. Try to get a good strategy when it comes to fuel. See what we can do with managing tires. Hopefully the cars fall our way, and we get some luck on our side, and get another strong finish.
Well, Carson, congratulations again. Another solid performance by Team S3 as you guys roll into Pocono. Who do you want to thank before we let you out of here?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to thank my beautiful wife, Nicole, who's watching the stream in the other room. Appreciate her for letting me race and, make it out here every Tuesday night to be able to run with all of y'all. Want to give a shout out to, so S3 is our parent team, and we're kind of like the Subpar Motorsports is kind of like the development team, so to speak. And so want to give a shout out to my other teammates, Aikman Pollard and Jonathan Marsh. They weren't able to make the race tonight, but as well want to give a shout out to all the guys over at S3. They've been great resources for just asking questions, learning setup tricks, you name it. So definitely got to give a shout out to all of them for all the coaching help. Also want to give a shout out to you, Steve, putting on this broadcast. I know usually haven't been able to make this interview up until this point, but I usually go back and watch the full races. It's cool, the show that you put on. It's always a great thing to watch after the fact, and as well DW and all the other admins for putting on this league.
All right, Carson. Well, again, thanks for the kind words. Congratulations again on the 3rd place finish. And yes, Subpar Motorsports, a little technical alliance with S3. So good thing you point that out there. You're not an official team member, but still affiliated nonetheless, and it's certainly starting to show. Congrats again, man. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck at Pocono.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Carson Rowland, your 3rd place finisher here at the Glen. That's going to do it for the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. Let's take a look here at our race results. Of course, we talked to Brian McCann, Connor Leach, and Carson Rowland. Those were your top 3 finishers. Dylan Bryant came home in P4. Chris Klein was 5th. 6th place, Sean Roberts. Skylar Harrod, 7th. 8th went to Paul Durkee. 9th, Mark Truxell. Justin Lawson was 10th. Double O Joe was 11th. Jesse Redding, 12th. Ryan Pasocco, 13th. Rick LePage, 14th. Ben McKinnon was 15th. Nick Biddy, a strong run early, was in 3rd place, and the one minor mistake in exiting turn 1 ended his night early. He finishes 16th, 5 laps down. Derek Welch, 17th. Scott Milner, 18th. And Tom Barish rounds out the field in the 19th spot, 45 of 48 laps down. Thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight. Congratulations again to our winner, Brian McCann, winning race number 7 on the season as we roll 2 races left, Pocono Raceway next week, and then finish things off in Atlanta Motor Speedway. Certainly going to be a fun rest of the season, and it looks like we're going to continue on into season 19. It's just going to be under new admins, so don't go too far. We should still be running here on Tuesday nights as long as we can get everything filled back up with drivers and the like. Like to see all these guys here back. Same rules, same schedule, same everything, just different person running the show. But I want to thank Derek again as we get into this. Derek Welch has been, well, even a part of his leagues here for as they were saying, he's been doing this for about 5 years, and that's about when we started covering at least one night a week with him. That's kind of been the way it's been for quite some time, and we appreciate the patronage that he's given us here at Track Limits. Back then, Howler Boys Racing TV. We appreciate it. It's been fun to watch. It's been loyal from him. Great racing, and it's just gotten better and better every year, and we're looking forward to more here in the next couple of races. So again, thank you guys all for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Congrats again to Brian McCann. If you haven't already done so, hit the thumbs up, the like button, hit the subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because if you hit it again and you are subscribed, then you unsubscribe. We don't want you to do that. So that's going to do it for us. Congratulations again to everybody involved here at the Glen. We'll see you next week at Pocono. Have a good night.